Most foods you eat are sprayed with glyphosate, which is a herbicide. Some research suggests that glyphosate has been linked to the rising epidemic of IBD. This chemical can disrupt gut lining, it can create oxidative stress inside your body, and it can mess up your gut bacteria. Now, these three things will not make your favourite pasta dish, but they will create the recipe for a flare up. So, after what I've just said, does the food quality matter? Hell yes. By the way, I'm Paul and I've suffered from UC for 12 years. I have been on multiple different medications. I've been told that I'll need a stoma bag if the inflammation doesn't stop. So this has led me down the path to healing UC naturally. I've researched foods that are supposed to irritate, foods that cause inflammation, and foods that are healing for your intestines. I've researched if food itself could affect UC, what roles vitamins and supplements and all them sort of things have on the effect of healing, and also what diets there are out there. I've done many different diets to try and help me heal, and I've come along a long way to try and figure out what is the best way to heal UC. And I'm not going to lie, what I found out has shocked me that much. I'll never ever trust the food industry or the health industry or the pharmaceutical industry ever again. First of all, let's start with the lies that they've brainwashed us with for years. And this is just a few simple lies. One of them, the low-fat diet. So since the 1960s, when they decided to say saturated fat was bad and sugar was okay, even though the researchers got paid, literally paid, to say that saturated fat were bad and sugar were good, even though there were no evidence showing it. Ever since then, people have demonized saturated fat, and they've been going on low-fat diets, low-fat yogurts, low-fat like foods, low-fat this, low-fat that. Another massive thing is calories in versus calories out. What they say is calories do not matter. All it matters about is you getting the calories in. But that is one of the worst advice people can give. And you see it going around in the fitness space. If it fits your macros, if it fits your macros, what are you going to do? Get fucking ill, get all these different conditions because you're eating shit, because it's okay. Calories are just calories. What a hunk of shit. If I gave you 1,000 calories of pure fatty ribeye steak, and I gave you 1,000 calories of donuts and sugar and crap, what do you think is going to be better for you? But if that steak's got 100 grams of protein, 40 grams of fat, and that's got 100 grams of protein and 40 grams of fat, which one do you honestly think is going to do you better? That kind of leads me on to the next one, avoiding red meat. That is another thing that's been demonized for far too long. There's no actual evidence showing, if you look at all the research papers, and I'd love you to find one, literally one that actually points to it, not anecdotal or anything like that, one that actually says red meat causes cancer, inflammation, it causes cardiovascular disease, all these things that they're saying red meat does. Put one study in the comments below, because I'd love to see it, that red meat should be avoided. Then it kind of leads me on to the next thing, about the sugars. They say sugar in moderation is fine. Is it? Is it really? In my opinion, and the research, sugar is not good. Sugar causes all sorts of inflammation inside your body. It also causes all sorts of other things that trigger in your brain to make it more addictive, so then people are getting more obese. Why is sugar okay in moderation? Because it's not essential. If you look at all the essential macros, fats are essential, because if you didn't have enough fat in your diet, you'd die. Proteins are essential, because if you didn't have enough protein in your diet, you'd die. So what other things are essential? Carbs aren't essential, because you can live off fat and protein. So if you don't have to have carbs, which has got sugar and everything in, why are they saying that sugar's okay in moderation? Because it's not. Well, no wonder diabetes, other inflammatory things like UC, other things like arthritis, obesity, dementia, Alzheimer's, all these things on the rise, because sugar has been put in every single last bit of product. I touched on this a little bit earlier. Saturated fat is bad. Saturated fat is not bad in the slightest. If we didn't have saturated fat, all our hormones would be out of whack. So men wouldn't have testosterone and women wouldn't have all their menstrual cycles. It is that important to have saturated fat. Not only saturated fat will then also increase cholesterol. Cholesterol helps with every cell in your body, because that's been demonized as well. Cholesterol is bad for you. Cholesterol is this, cholesterol is that. In actual fact, it's not. There's actually been a study showing that people with high cholesterol have a longer life. How does that make sense? Doctors are saying, oh yeah, if you have high cholesterol, you're going to die earlier. Well, that's not what the evidence says. The evidence tells you that, that you have a longer life. And this one, I just love because it's something that you've been told as a kid that is very important to do every single day. And that is eat 5 a day. Doesn't matter if it's fruit or vegetables. You can eat 5 a day. So if you ate 3 pieces of fruit, 1 banana, 27 grams of sugar, 1 apple, 15 grams of sugar, then you decide to have maybe 2 plums. There's another 10 grams, 15 grams of sugar. So there you go. There's like 50 grams of sugar from 3 pieces of fruit. But the fruit is good for you, isn't it? Fruit is amazing. Fruit has got all these things in you. Well, in actual fact, it's not. So where did this lie come from? It actually came from a marketing scheme and cancer research. They decided to get to each other. Cancer research wanted to show that they were doing something to help people with cancer. Oh, if you eat these are going to help you. And then the fruit and vegetable people used it as a marketing thing. Look it all up. You've got the thing in your hands. Look it up. It is being a marketing scheme. There's no evidence from it. If there was evidence, then why did other countries adopt different amounts? I can't remember which country it was. I think it was Japan. I think it was over in that sort of country, Japan or something like that. Guess how many they said? They said 15 pieces of fruit and veg a day. Like 15. They didn't take the 5. No, they wanted to go to the extreme. So that's how I know it's bullshit. There's no actual research evidence showing that 5 a day is the magical number. But these lies are literally just scratching the surface at the quality of food that's even out there. Our food, you can't even call it food these days. All the crops, well, apart from organic, but they're kind of getting the loopholes a little bit. But even organic, they do spray it with some pesticides and herbicides. But mainly, all the rest of the food that you put in your plate and all the food that's fed to these animals is sprayed with glyphosate, herbicides, pesticides. So what do you think is happening to that? Because it can't be washed off. So all them herbicides and pesticides are going into your gut. Now, glyphosate itself actually was an antibiotic, or it does the same thing as antibiotics. So it goes into your thing and actually kills off good bacteria. And this is all food that you're eating. Most foods are GMO, so they're genetically modified. So that means they're made to make them bigger, sweeter, produce quicker, more better, more hardier to different weathers, which is fine. But we're not designed to eat these genetically modified things. So grains and rices and stuff like that. So what happens is they have been genetically modified. The byproduct of that is they grow faster and they bring bigger yields. Fantastic. But what happens then? It produces way more gluten. And gluten is a massive thing that actually irritates people. Pretty much everyone's got some sort of gluten intolerance. And when you've got UC, gluten itself is a massive trigger for causing flares. And then to finish everything off, you've got heavily processed dead food. People don't want to eat generally single ingredients these days. They want to have a packet that tells you it's healthy. This label says it's healthy, high in protein. You look at it, it's got 50 ingredients, 45 of them aren't even food, they're just man-made stuff that they've made into powders just to preserve it. And then the last final 5 ingredients are trying to say that they're good for you. Well, in actual fact, they're just garbage. They've either been sprayed with something or they've gone through a manufacturing stage of being beaten and bashed and ground and whatever it is that they're doing to it. So all the nutrients and all the goodness and all the stuff that's in it that keeps you alive has been taken out of it. But yet, they're calling these foods healthy. Now, obviously, I'm a carnivore, and I've been carnivore for the last 19 months using the elimination carnivore diet because it has put me into remission. Now, if you want to get into remission, top link in the description, but I'm not going to be biased. What I'm going to do is show what I've also learned about the quality of your meat. Now, I can understand why people turn to vegetarian and vegan because the standards are not great in the slightest. So take like factory chickens. They say it's okay, so you've got a square foot like this, to have 6 full-grown birds at 2 kilogram per bird in this 1 foot square space. They generally don't see the daylight, and they are fed in their water supply antibiotics. So the antibiotics, obviously, in the UK, it is better than other countries because they have to go through a certain process to kind of wean them off the antibiotics. They last like a week or whatever, so then you don't get it in the meat. But there is residue that still stays in the meat. But if you go to other countries like America, they can give antibiotics right up until the day they die. The same as when it comes to beef, they give them hormones, antibiotics, and they can slaughter them pretty much right up until that day. Whereas in the UK and other countries, they've got a bit more of a standard. So if they're on antibiotics, they're not allowed to basically kill them and eat them or whatever they're doing with them until they've weaned off the antibiotics, and it shouldn't then be in their system. But even still, the life that this animal hasn't been great. So say if it's a chicken, it's never seen the light of day. It's been in its own feces laying down in such a small area on antibiotics pretty much its whole life. Then you've got cows, pretty much the same thing. Like some dairy cows don't even go outside. They're literally inside, constantly walking around on hard floor, just going to get milk twice a day, and that's it. Then you've got beef cows, which are doing the same thing. They're inside, they're being fed grains and all these different foods and stuff like that they just basically can't digest properly because it's not what they're supposed to be eating. That is why when you are doing the carnivore elimination diet, you want to be eating ruminant meat, because even if they get fed grains and whatever else that they're not supposed to eat, at least then it goes through more stomachs, so by the time it gets to the meat, it is actually cleaner. So you're probably thinking, what the fuck am I supposed to eat? I've got all these different foods that I'm going to suffer with because I've got UC, and they're going to irritate me because they've got either glyphosate on them or they've been in a shitty environment, so the animals have been under stress, this and other, they've not had the best diets, they've been on antibiotics. What am I supposed to fucking eat? Now, I honestly understand, because it is frustrating that we live in a society where this is normal, because it's not fucking normal. So there is stages to the elimination carnivore diet, which if you start the carnivore elimination diet and you do the most baseline, literally the baseline, and that is literally getting any meat you can from the supermarket. If you get that, it's not been in the best condition, but if you just eat that out of everything else, you will feel 100 times better than you have done eating all the other previous shit. Because if you eat nose to tail, so literally you have the most nutrient dense, anti-inflammatory food there is. The food itself is so nourishing that if you're eating nose to tail of all the animals that you're eating, you're getting everything you need, all the vitamins and the minerals, you're getting everything. So then the next baseline after that, if you have got a little bit more money, you then just only eat maybe ruminant meats, lamb, beef, and then you've got venison, you've got things like goat. All these things here are probably the best thing to go for if you can afford it, because it means it has to go through one stomach. Cleaner meat means you'll be, less likely to have anything reacting. The next stage up is organic grass-fed. So if you can get like organic meats that they can't be fed like antibiotics, they can't be fed like grains and food and stuff that's been sprayed with glyphosate or anything like that. They have to be outside eating grass. If you get grass finished as well, so grass-fed, grass finished, that is like the pretty much top tier. So that's A tier in levels wise of how you're going to get the best nutrient food you can get. And if you can go even above, which is A tier, which I said, if you can raise all your own animals, you can know what it's eaten, how it's lived, and it's not been under any stress. You literally got it in a field, you raise it up, you shoot it, you butcher it, hey presto, goes in your freezer. And that is what I plan to do. I plan to raise all of my own meat, so then I don't have to worry about all the bad conditions or anything like that, because at the end of the day, I want the best quality foods going into my system. And as I said earlier, I can't believe that they think that the factory farming should be normal when there's regenerative farming out there, which makes so much more sense for the animals, for our health. But yet, because they can't make as much money, they go for the shitter option. Now, the reason why the carnivore elimination diet makes so much sense to me is because it removes all the plant toxins, it removes all the seed oils, the grains, the sugars, the heavily processed dead food, and it gets rid of all the fruit and vegetables which generally people with UC can't tolerate. So that is the main reason if you go into the carnivore elimination diet, top link in the description, 90-day regenerative UC protocol. It goes into all of this about how to source the best quality of meat, how to do your shopping so it's cheap but yet you're still getting good quality, how to prep it, how to cook it, how to do everything you possibly can to get you in remission as fast as possible. It is in the top link in the description. But remember, healing isn't just about removing bad foods. It's about repairing, rebuilding, and recovery. Let me know in the comments below if you have ever thought about where your foods come from or what quality you're getting, because I never did until I started the carnivore elimination diet. It was one of the things that just never really entered my head. I threw whatever's in my mouth because I heard someone say it was good for you. If you want to hear more about UC healing and You want to basically get into remission, top link in the description, or subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.